I don't think you'll ever understand what it feels like to have your own child look at you with fear in their eyes until you are me and your best friend of 15 years standing next to your ex-wife, helping her coach your kids to lie. This is a story of betrayal, of psychological manipulation, of an 18-month battle to reclaim the truth and the children I love more than life itself. Chapter 1, From the Little Signs. I don't think you'll ever understand what it feels like to have your own child look at you with fear in their eyes until you become me, and your best friend of 15 years standing beside your ex-wife, helping her coach the kids to lie. This is a story about betrayal, about manipulating children's minds, and my 18-month-long fight to win back the truth, and the kids I love more than life itself. I used to think that if I stayed quiet long enough, things would naturally settle. After a bitter divorce from my ex-wife Lisa, the only thing I wanted was a peaceful, clear custody agreement where no one got hurt. We had two kids, Mia age 7 and Noah age 9. They were everything to me. At first, things went just as planned. I picked the kids up every weekend, took them to the park, made hot dogs, watched old cartoons, and fell asleep tangled in a pile of blankets. They laughed a lot, but just 2 months in, things started to feel different. Mia, the bubbly kid who used to ask silly questions like, "Dad, do you believe in aliens?" was now silent. Noah, who used to hug my leg every time I had to take them back to their moms, now gave a short nod and didn't hug me anymore. I noticed how they avoided eye contact, like they were afraid I'd get angry over something as small as spilling orange juice. One day, while doing laundry from Mia's backpack, I found a crumpled piece of paper. It was a worksheet written in pencil with a shaky heading. "I feel scared when I'm with Dad." I read it 3 times. The sentences didn't sound like Mia at all. Too structured, too grown up in tone. Near the bottom, one short sentence made my spine go cold. "Dad makes me feel unsafe." I called Lisa immediately. "Where did that paper come from?" I asked. She scoffed on the phone. "You don't need to know. Therapy is part of my custody rights." Therapy, mental health treatment, without my consent. I checked the custody agreement. It clearly stated that all medical and psychological decisions required joint consent. Lisa had violated it. But what scared me more was who was treating my kids, and what were they being taught. I tried contacting the therapy center Lisa mentioned. They refused to give me any information, claiming I wasn't the primary guardian. I told them I was the biological father. Still, they refused. That's when I started documenting everything. Every conversation, every text, email, photo, and unusual behavior I saw in my kids. From the way they avoided eye contact to the odd way Noah once said, "I'm not allowed to call you unless Mom says it's okay." I felt something terribly wrong was going on, but I never expected that the person who'd betray me most was the one I trusted the most, my best friend, Daniel. Chapter 2, Betrayal from the Closest Person. Daniel used to be my best friend. We met in college. Went through tough times together, splitting the last instant ramen at the end of the month, helping each other pay late tuition, crashing on each other's couches. He was the best man at my wedding, the first one at the hospital when Noah was born, and the one who hugged me when Lisa left in the middle of the night, taking half the furniture with her. I used to think, if there was anyone who would stand by me no matter what, it would be Daniel, until I found out he was dating Lisa, my ex-wife. Not a rumor, not speculation, cold hard proof. One evening I drove to Daniel's house for our regular ping pong night. He canceled last minute saying something urgent came up, but for some reason my GPS still showed the destination as Daniel's house. Out of curiosity, I drove by. That's when I saw Lisa's car parked in his driveway. The upstairs bedroom light was on. I froze. The next morning I sent a message. "Is there anything you'd like to tell me?" Daniel left me on scene. No reply. Everything I had brushed off in the name of friendship began to align like a bad movie montage. Daniel was the one who recommended the therapist to Lisa. Daniel told me, "Don't stir up trouble with her. The kids will suffer." Daniel took several months off work for personal reasons right around the time Lisa started therapy sessions with the kids behind my back. I scrolled back through old messages. One in particular hit like a gut punch. Maybe you should focus on your job instead of trying to control everything Lisa does. She's still the mother of your kids. I wanted to smash my phone. This wasn't just betrayal. I was being surrounded by two people spinning lies, and worse, they were planting those lies in my children's minds, trying to make me out to be some kind of dangerous father. The more I thought about it, the more I shook. I couldn't let this go on. I had once believed in keeping the peace, in staying quiet for the kids, in letting things go, but at this point I realized if I didn't fight now, my kids would grow up fearing the one person who's loved them the most. So I hired a lawyer. Her name was Catherine, a small woman, sharp as a scalpel. At our first meeting, she placed a voice recorder on the table and said, "I need you to be honest. If there's been any history of abuse rage or threats, you tell me now. If you're clean, I'll go all in to protect your kids." I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I've never even raised my voice at my children." She nodded. 3 weeks later, Catherine played me a recording. It was a private therapy session between Mia and the therapist Lisa had hired. In the audio, Mia said, "Mom says if I don't say bad things about Dad, then I'll be sent to live with him forever and never see her again." I was speechless. Mia began to cry. And the therapist. She said, "Well, what do you think you should say?" Then Mia, no correction, no reassurance, no reminder of ethics or safety, just a coaching session to train a minor to lie in a way that could legally paint me as a child abuser. That was it. I had no doubts anymore. Lisa and Daniel had orchestrated everything: therapy supervision, faked recordings, anonymous complaints. They were building a stage where I played the villain just so they could gain full custody and maybe even destroy me entirely. But I wasn't the kind of man who could be pushed off a cliff. Not this time. Chapter 3: The Legal Trap and the Turning Point. After obtaining the audio recording from that so-called therapy session, Catherine looked at me, face unreadable, and said, "We're going to use their own game to flip this board." I didn't understand right away. All I knew was I was about to do something I had always been afraid to do: confront Lisa directly. 1 week later, at 6 a.m. sharp, there was a loud knocking at my door. I opened it to find two police officers. "We've received a report of suspected child abuse at this residence. We need to conduct a welfare check." I wasn't surprised. Catherine had warned me after we requested a court-appointed independent custody evaluator. Lisa was likely to go on the offensive. I invited them in. My house wasn't a palace, but it was clean, warm, and homey. Crayon drawings by Mia and Noah were taped all over the fridge. The kids were sitting on the floor playing with Lego. The officers gently questioned them, checked for any signs of physical harm — there were none — and left without filing any report. As one of them was walking out the door, he leaned toward me and whispered, "Just between you and me, this seems fishy." I thanked him, closed the door. My shirt was soaked in sweat. Lisa wasn't playing by the rules anymore. She was using the law to create new rules, ones that looked legitimate on the surface, but were dripping with malice underneath. And I knew this was just the beginning. While I wrestled with the emotional fallout, Catherine Ever, the sleepless warrior, was preparing her counterattack. She filed an emergency motion to the court requesting a temporary suspension of therapy with the current counselor Lisa's hire, appointment of an independent custody evaluator selected by the court, a court order requiring Lisa to submit all therapy-related documents, including recordings, notes, and any other documentation involving the children. The court granted it. And just like that, a door I never thought would open was cracked wide. We got access to the original therapy files, and that's when we found the smoking gun. One of the therapy session notes had my signature at the bottom, but I had never signed it. Catherine enlarged the document. I looked closely at the signature line. Not only had Lisa forged my name, she'd spelled it wrong. My legal name is Jonathan Davis. She signed it Jonathan Daves. You didn't need to be a forensic handwriting expert to see how amateur it was, but it was enough to invalidate the legal standing of all those documents. More importantly, it cast serious doubt on everything Lisa had submitted to the court. A week later, during our first custody hearing, Lisa showed up with Daniel. I tried to stay composed, But when I saw Daniel place his hand on Mia's shoulder as they walked in, I nearly lost it. Mia instinctively stepped back a small detail, but it didn't escape my eyes. And more importantly, it didn't escape the court-appointed evaluator's eyes either. We didn't say much that day. But Catherine presented the evidence of forged signatures, the therapy audio, and a clip from my security camera showing Lisa in my front yard screaming at her boyfriend because I wasn't sticking to the script. The court made a decision. All therapy sessions were suspended immediately. The children were to undergo an independent psychological evaluation. Daniel was barred from having contact with the kids until a safety assessment could be completed. I wanted to cry right there in the courtroom, but Catherine tapped my hand under the table and whispered, "We're not done. They're going to retaliate." And they did. That night, while preparing dinner with the kids, I noticed a strange car parked across the street. No front license plate, tinted windows. I called the police. They logged it, but said the car wasn't breaking any laws. The next day, someone using an anonymous account commented on Mia's school's Facebook page, "Are you sure those kids are safe where they are?" I immediately sent the screenshots to Catherine. She filed a court petition requesting a protective order barring Lisa and Daniel from any form of surveillance harassment or indirect contact. Things were escalating, but so was I. I was no longer the man afraid of being talked about. I was a father, and I was going to fight in every way I could. Chapter 4. Children feel pain. Two adults can hide their emotions. Children can't, and the most painful thing I ever witnessed wasn't Lisa forging my signature. It wasn't even Daniel looking me straight in the eye and lying without blinking. No. It was the way Mia whispered, "If I tell the truth, Mommy will hate me." I remember sitting beside the court-appointed psychological evaluator, Ms. Anderson, during her first session with Mia. She asked gently, "How do you feel when you're with your dad?" Mia hesitated. She glanced at me, then lowered her head and quietly answered, "I like being with Dad, but I'm not supposed to say that." I turned away, because if I'd looked at her any longer, I would have broken down right there. Bit by bit, the truth started to surface like ink bleeding through paper. Noah told the evaluator that his mom used to say, "If you say nice things about your dad, Mommy will be so sad she might die." I asked Catherine, would this be considered parental alienation? She nodded, her expression firm. Not just alienation. This is emotional manipulation, putting the burden of adult emotions on children. And it's incredibly toxic. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. I saw it every single day. I saw Noah flinch when I raised my voice just because the pan had burned. I saw Mia hesitate before opening the fridge, afraid to do anything without asking. I saw them tiptoeing around me like they were rehearsing a script, afraid that one wrong word could lead to someone getting hurt. Then one night, Mia climbed into my bed and lay there silently. I tucked her in and whispered, "It's okay. You're safe here now." She murmured, "Daddy, I hate saying bad things about you, but Mommy said if I don't, you'll go to jail." I went numb. A 7-year-old speaking as if it were her responsibility to protect me from the truth. You know, we like to think kids don't understand, but the truth is they understand everything, they just don't have the words for it yet. And when adults force them to pick a side, what you're really doing is slowly killing their childhood one piece at a time. Ms. Anderson, the evaluator, wrote in her report, "Both children exhibit clear signs of parental alienation, particularly instigated by the primary guardian. The level of fear is disproportionate to any observable risk. There is no evidence to support claims that the biological father poses any threat." The court received the report, and for the first time, the judge looked at me and nodded. And then the unexpected happened. At a closed-door hearing, Lisa arrived late. She walked in with Daniel, eyes puffy, tired, and panicked. When Catherine presented the audio of Mia saying she had been pressured to lie, Lisa snapped. She stood up, pointed at me, and screamed, "He's manipulating them. He's buying their love. You don't know what's really going on." The judge banged the gavel. "Ms. Lisa, if you continue to interrupt, I will revoke your right to speak." She sat back down, but everyone saw it. Daniel's face turned white. Catherine didn't let the moment pass. She turned to him. "Mr. Daniel, were you the one who introduced this therapist to Ms.?" Lisa Daniel stammered. "I just tried to help." She said she needed advice. Catherine's voice went ice cold. "Help by recording minors, forging the father's signature, submitting medical documents with misspelled legal names." No answer. None needed. I walked out of the courthouse that day. Not quite a winner, but I knew the truth was finally being seen. And even though the road ahead was still long and uncertain, I finally knew one thing for sure: I wasn't fighting alone anymore. Chapter 5. The War of Wits and the Price of Patience. Catherine once told me something I'll never forget. Never be the one who screams in court. If you want to win, let the other side lose control first. I kept that in my mind through the following weeks, because Lisa had officially lost control. After that courtroom meltdown, she and Daniel disappeared into the shadows. No public responses, no appearances at supervised meetings. But I knew that didn't mean they'd stopped. And sure enough, one night I noticed an old car parked just one house away from mine. The license plate was covered in black tape. At first I thought it belonged to a neighbor, until 3 a.m. when my security camera captured a man standing in front of my house for almost 10 minutes. He didn't knock, he didn't speak, he just stood there, staring. Hood pulled low, but I recognized him, the tilt of his head, the way he leaned slightly on his left leg, hands in pockets. I had known Daniel for 15 years. There was no mistaking it. I sent the footage to Catherine. She replied immediately, "We can file for an emergency restraining order. This is stalking and psychological intimidation." I signed the petition that same night. I started documenting everything, every single day. Every time Lisa was late picking up the kids. Every time Noah said, "Mom told me not to tell you what happens at her house." Every time Mia drew a picture of a loud woman, a tiny man, and 2 kids stuck in the middle. I wasn't just a scared father anymore. I'd become a witness, an investigator, and a victim in my own case. Every night I emailed my daily reports to Catherine. She replied with simple phrases like, "Good. Stay the course. Don't react." Each word was like a tiny anti-anxiety pill. Then came the pretrial deposition hearings. One last round of testimonies and interrogations before the final custody trial. Before we appeared in court, I met Catherine at her office. She placed a thick folder on the table. "Do you know what this is?" I shook my head. "These are all the emails, texts, and audio files recovered from Daniel's old computer. Lisa accidentally logged into his account on her son's iPad and it synced old data." I opened the folder and my heart sank. One audio recording Lisa's voice. I told her Dad hit me. I didn't say it happened, but if she believes it did, then it's true. Daniel replied, "But if the kid lies in front of the evaluator, they'll catch on." Lisa cut him off. "Then I'll just say he brainwashed the kids to say the opposite. If we keep flipping the story, no one will know it's real." I turned to Catherine. "Can we use this in court?" She smiled for the first time in months. "Not only can we use it, we're going to use it to end this." At the deposition, Lisa walked in, pale as paper. She knew we had something, but not what. When Catherine played the recording, Lisa shot up, trying to interrupt, but the judge raised a hand. "Ms. Lisa, you may not speak while evidence is being presented." When Lisa's voice repeated, "If she believes it, then it's true," the room froze. Catherine closed her laptop, flipped to the final page of her brief. "Your Honor, we respectfully request the immediate suspension of Ms. Lisa's custody rights, full transfer of the children to Mr. Reitz Davis, and the opening of a formal investigation into forgery, defamation, and systematic psychological harm toward 2 minors." Lisa crumbled in her seat. She screamed, "You don't get it! I just wanted to keep my kids. I didn't do anything wrong," and Daniel, he didn't say a word. He just stared at the floor. As for me, I stayed silent. For the first time in nearly a year and a half, I didn't have to speak anymore. The truth was finally speaking for me. Chapter 6. The Final Verdict. Tears and Truth. I never thought a courtroom could feel like a damn electric chair. The moment I stepped into the official custody trial, the real one, everything felt different. This wasn't like the pre-hearings. No hesitant glances, no uncertainty from the lawyers. Everyone in that room knew one thing. Today, someone was going to walk out of this courtroom with full custody, and the other would be lucky to have visitation rights. Lisa had brought in a new lawyer, young, slick, hair gelled to perfection, wearing a tailored suit like he was auditioning for a legal drama. He started off voice sharp and theatrical. "My client is a single mother who has fought tirelessly to protect her children from a man prone to emotional instability." Catherine just smiled politely. Then it was our turn. She didn't lecture, she didn't grandstand, she simply opened her laptop and played a recording. This time, it was the full clip. Lisa's voice. "What did I say? Don't talk about this here. If you tell Daddy you like being with him, Mommy will cry all the time." Then Mia's voice, small and scared. "I don't want Mommy to be mad." Then the slam of a door. Lisa yelling, "I don't want to hear it. Go to your room." The audio stopped. The courtroom fell into a silence so heavy you could have heard a pen drop. The judge leaned forward. "I've reviewed the custody evaluation report. I've heard enough. But now I want to hear directly from the children." I froze. Lisa immediately objected. "No, they're too young. They don't know how to separate truth from influence." Gavel slam. "Ms. Lisa, if you interrupt me again, I will order you removed from this courtroom." Noah came in first. He was wearing the dress shirt I ironed that morning. His collar was crooked, hair messy on one side. He looked like a tiny soldier who'd just returned from war. The judge asked Noah, "Who do you want to live with?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he said softly, "I just want to be myself, without being scared that someone will get angry or sad." The judge followed up, "And where do you feel that way?" Noah looked at me, then turned and glanced at Lisa. "With Dad." Mia entered next. Big eyes, tight lips. The judge softened his voice. "Mia, is there anything you'd like to say?" She nodded. "I don't want to say bad things about Dad anymore. Mommy makes me, but I don't want to." Lisa shot up from her seat. "Mia, you're being manipulated." "You don't understand, gavel slam. Ms. Lisa, leave the courtroom, now." Two bailiffs approached. Lisa kicked and sobbed. Daniel didn't even flinch. He sat frozen, didn't make eye contact with a soul. And when the courtroom door finally shut behind Lisa, it felt like someone had unlocked a cage we didn't even realize we were in. The judge waited a few seconds, then turned to me. "Mr. Davis, this court awards you full legal and physical custody of the children, effective immediately." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ms. Lisa will be granted supervised visitation once per month until she completes behavioral therapy and receives a re-evaluation from an independent specialist. I sat there in disbelief, hands trembling, heart thundering. Then I looked over and saw Noah smile at me for the first time in what felt like forever, and I knew I hadn't fought for nothing. That night, the three of us, just me and my kids, had a simple dinner. Spaghetti with sausage garlic bread and lemonade. Mia laughed because she accidentally put salt in the lemonade. Noah danced around because he got to pick the movie for the night. I didn't talk much. Didn't move much, didn't even breathe too hard. I just sat there watching them, afraid that if I blinked this would all disappear. Then Mia tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy, can we sleep in your bed tonight?" I nodded. And that night, for the first time in almost 2 years, I truly slept, because I finally knew my children were safe. Chapter 7, Healing, and the letter that broke me. They say that when you win a battle, you feel triumphant. I didn't. I only felt relief. A kind of crushing heavy relief, like I had just lifted a truck off my chest. But when I looked around, all I saw were the shattered pieces of my heart, of my trust, and of two children who had been forced to learn survival in a war they never asked to be part of. In the days following the verdict, I didn't push the kids to talk. They didn't have to explain, didn't have to justify, didn't have to answer. They just needed one thing: to be children again. In the mornings, I helped Mia plant tomatoes in old soup cans behind the house. In the afternoons, I played chess with Noah, even though he always tried to cheat by moving his pawn 2 spaces. At night, they still slept in my bed, one arm wrapped around a stuffed animal, the other around my shirt, like they were afraid I'd vanish in the night. And I let them. No questions, no rules, no lectures. Just something I hadn't given them in a long time: my full presence. Once a week, they saw a new therapist this time, court-appointed, neutral, and experienced. Her name was Lorraine. She was in her 50s, silver hair, calm voice like classical music. She told me they need more than peace. They need permission to trust again. I didn't understand it right away. Until one night I saw Noah writing something in a small notebook. When I walked into the room, he quickly hid it under his blanket. "It's okay," I said. "You don't have to show me if you don't want to." He nodded, then hesitated, then nodded again. "You can read it, but don't tell Mia." I promised, and I kept my word. Inside the notebook, one page was outlined in shaky green crayon. In the middle was a letter. "A letter I will never forget, dear Dad. I'm sorry I ever said I was scared of you. I'm not scared of you. I was scared that Mommy would be sad. She said if I was happy with you, she would cry until she died. I didn't want anyone to die, but here it feels easier to breathe. Mia sleeps better, and I don't have to lie anymore. You might get tired, but you never yell. You might get sad, but you never hit us. I know you're tired, but you still play with us. I love you. If you hadn't fought for us, we might have forgotten who we really are. Noah." I closed the notebook, and I cried. Not because I was broken, but because for the first time since everything, I finally heard the truth from the very child who had once been forced to lie. A year after the trial, the kids slowly began to reintegrate. Noah joined the school chess team. Mia started ballet. And for the first time, I saw them laugh for real. Not polite, not forced, not fearful. Real joy. Lisa was still allowed supervised visits once a month. At first, the kids didn't want to go, but I didn't stop them. I told them, "She's still your mom, but you're allowed to say no if you're not ready." Noah nodded. Mia said nothing, but she hugged me tighter. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Lisa will ever change. But I know this: I didn't give up. I didn't stay silent. And I didn't let my kids grow up in a world where truth could be bought with beautiful lies. They don't need a perfect father. They just need one who stays, even when everyone else walks away. And if you're someone going through something like this, please know, staying silent for peace is sometimes just surrendering in a war you can't afford to lose. I'm a father. I fought, and I won back the most precious thing in my life. Thank you for listening to this story. If you've ever felt misunderstood, had to fight for your children, or struggled to prove the truth, this story was for you. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to True Reddit Reads for more real-life stories filled with emotion, controversy, and sometimes healing.